everybody, and welcome back to Episode Club. Today we're going, or tonight actually, not today, we are going to be talking about Harlots Season 3, Episodes 1 and 2, the tentative last season of the show. There's no news on whether they're getting a fourth season or if this is actually confirmed their last season, but before we get started talking about it, we have the ladies of Harlots, I guess you want to call it today. But they're not Nancy or Margaret Wells today because they're on camera. But whoever wants to introduce yourself, go ahead.
Hey guys, you know me, Erin, Braavosi broadcast, fake Aria, all that good stuff. Glad to be here. Glad to be excited about talking about season 3 today and getting started with this because season 3 is really like action packed. There's a lot of excitement and new characters that are familiar face for a lot of us. So there's a lot of new excitement to talk about. So.
Hi, I'm Kaci from House Lorebridge. Thanks for having me back. These were some pretty exciting episodes, so good way to start off season 3, I think.
Yeah, it's a really good season. Oh, these two are good season openers. So, but before we get into the conversation about this, we should shout out the lovely people in the chat room. We have Otila Angel, as well as some broadcasts. I don't know who she is, but she also snuck in here today, as well as Ms. Duncan the Tall, CC, or as she said in the first comment, hashtag Fifi. As well, you know what. And some lady also named House Lorebridge. I don't know who she is, but she's also here today. And we have Amanda, the Fearless Mermaid. How you doing, Amanda? And so
Hey, Catherine Harding's here now.
Yeah.
Stay hydrated.
Stay hydrated. Go check out also Catherine's channel, where she's doing some live streams, I believe, of her playing some video games. I think Witcher was one that she did recently, as well as Friday the 13th, if I remember correctly. So yeah, go check out Erin and Kaci and Catherine. We're all content creators in some way out here, so just go celebrate. So episode 1 gives us a year time jump, which personally I didn't expect that we'd get a year time jump. And where do we want to start? Do we want to start with the new characters and the story on Greek Street? Do we want to catch up with Lydia Quigley and Bedlam, or even like the new characters that are like unrelated to or semi-related to the Bedlam storyline? Where do we want to go with this?
I'm down to discuss Bedlam and Lydia and all of that that's been going on, because that was like there's the time. Sorry, children.
Those are the screams you would hear in Bedlam anyway.
Exactly. That's my life. I actually was committed.
Bedlam.
Maybe. But she's been stuck in there, and you can definitely tell it's taken its toll on her. Her hair is really like disheveled and kind of falling out, and she doesn't look, we know her as like the top bod, she's got the finest clothes, the finest everything, makeup, her wigs, all that good stuff. So it's a definite contrast to what she's used to. I'm sorry, guys.
I'm just getting love in the chat.
I'm doing this for sound effects. I did this on purpose.
Like, scream, children. Let's pretend I'm Lydia Quigley first.
Yeah, but yeah, so she's in there, and they show kind of like that really traumatizing scene of like, I don't know if you guys are sort of familiar with medieval like medicine or torture or the combination of the both, but they put her in this like spinning chair, and that's supposed to stimulate her nerves, which is supposed to kind of like help rid her of her crazy. I don't know. And they just spin her for 2 hours. She spins, and the point is to evacuate her bowels, because that I don't know. There's nothing logical about the medicine. There's nothing logical. I'm not in the human medical field, but I was in the veterinary field for 10 years, and a lot of it's very similar. Our bodies, they function the same. So, I mean, I don't know. Maybe I just have like a common sense kind of brain, but it doesn't seem to me like making somebody piss and crap themselves and vomit themselves is going to do anything other than maybe like physically exhaust them so that they're incapable of like doing anything. But like, I don't know. I would imagine this would like do something to your brain too. Like your brain's just spin, like concussion style or something like that. But it all just sounds awful. Anyways, there you go. That's my. Yeah, and like I was telling you guys way back in season 1, in like the first episode, like you are going to start to like Lydia and start to sympathize for her. And this is where it begins, I think. So you guys tell me how you feel about her.
Kaci.
I still don't like her. Still don't feel that bad for her. She'd be a horrible person, though.
I mean, it happens. Where it's like, because you still don't have enough. It's like, what is it? Like, you still don't have like enough context to change your mind. Like with a couple other, like, again, like other TV shows, like they have you're like, I don't know if I like this person or not. Like they're almost in the gray of like, oh, I like them or I don't like them kind of thing. But yeah, the torture that Lydia is getting, I mean, that's just like, well, they always thought women were crazy, so it's not surprising that a bunch of men are like, okay, let me try this to make sure. Not great at like to cure your crazy, but it actually makes you more crazy. But how we kind of also get there is, I can't remember her name. I forgot to write it down. But basically basically the new girl that Lydia has,
Katrin,
came to Bedlam because she was found basically with the wrong person in the stable. If you want to just watch the episode if you haven't.
She's just basically a teenage girl that hooked up with her stable boy in the hay, and they talk about it. Her father died, and her mom remarried to this man who's very unpleasant. And she says, my mother married him after my father died, and she hasn't smiled since. And it's like sad. But and then the stepdad catches them hooking up in the hay, and then he basically just has her committed, and she's just like a 16-year-old girl or something. I mean, she's just it's just terrible. There's nothing wrong with her at all. She was just having sex. I mean, there's plenty of 16-year-old girls that get caught in that situation. So, but it was just a terrible time to be in that position. She sure was she's a passionate young woman, though, isn't she? Like that scene of her hooking up, she was just like, she is just having the time of her life. So hey, we all need that every now and then.
Then she's stuck in Bedlam with a bunch of pervy old men.
Mm-hmm. And I'm sure they're looking at her like, fresh meat, and she's like pretty, she's young, she's not, there's nothing wrong with her. So they of course prey on her, and we see that, unfortunately. It's just,
the only thing wrong with her is that she wasn't married before her virginity was taken from her. So yeah, that's about it. Yeah, because I think how the context of that is like that she was supposed to be married off to some guy or whatever, and then that's when like the servant's like, oh, she's actually like over there, and like but But yeah, like I
Servant
think,
tattled.
yeah. And I kind of throughout their like kind of story thread, is basically like for the 2 episodes, it's just them showing obviously Lydia being tortured, but as well as different forms of punishment that she's also given, from like basically like drowning, like her dunking her in water repeatedly, and then
Ice baths, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, the one that he gets in trouble with at the end of episode 2, where it's like like what Erin said, using her for being with the pervy pervy man.
Yeah, for his he's sitting. I mean, let's be honest. He's wanking it while he's like shoving his hands up her. This poor girl, and she's strapped down to a table. He's literally raping her, and like, I mean, that's And so the whole thing is her and Lydia kind of developed this relationship because Lydia's been there for a while, and you can see she's trying, she's sitting there, she's like repeating poems and plays that she's known because, that's what her and her girls have done. And she's trying to not forget those things because she's not crazy and she doesn't want them to make her crazy. So she's just saying these things, which, I mean, I think any of us in that situation might do, just trying to remember those little things that you can hold on to that were special or valuable to you. And anyways, when that girl comes in, she assumes that Lydia's crazy, just like we assume everybody, from Lydia's perspective, she assumes everybody's freaking crazy that she's around. So they're put right next to each other, and Lydia's basically tries to kind of just coach her on, just say, you're in this situation. Don't let them take everything from you. Don't let them, rob you of your sanity and your dignity and all of that. And just kind of coaches her on. And then they sort of develop like a dynamic, a friendship between themselves. And Lydia tells her a little bit more about who she is. And, Lydia needs that. I mean, she's been in there for a year, and even if I wouldn't say she's lost her like vicious nature, because that's just what she's been made to be. But I mean, in that situation, she doesn't see, like, even there's the scene Lady Fitz comes to see her, and she's like, Lady Fitz basically is accusing her of like whatever slander's written in the newspaper. She's like, I know you're behind this. And she's like, oh yeah, me and like all my like people that I have working for she's like, I'm at the fucking bottom of the barrel. She's like, and she just get real like venomous in how she like talks to her, but that's she's just having a rough time. So her and Katrin, they bond, they become friends, they kind of support each other. And then there's a situation where like they're coming to take Lydia to go torture her, and Katrin is like, she even volunteers herself, basically. I mean, they kind of have like a little, I don't think they knew exactly what they were going to do, but opportunity arose for both of them to manipulate the situation. But really, Katrin was the one that she was going to take her place. She volunteered. She's like, no, I feel like I'm having an episode coming on kind of thing. And so then Lydia like sees her chance. She goes, and she's like, oh, bring the crowd over here. And when they bring the crowd over, then they see the doctor wanking it, and Dr. Wankin. And and then they're like, what the heck? And so, yeah, the girl jumps up and her and Lydia escape. And it's like, I mean, it's really funny. They release all the imprisoned women too, to just kind of create extra chaos so they can get out of there. And it's a pretty funny scene. Like the one crazy lady goes at the highborn women who are just, I mean, they all just come in there to like gawk at them, at the crazy people, you know? And so, yeah, she comes in and, the one crazy lady comes in and like scares the shit out of them, which I thought was hilarious. They're like, oh my God. She's like, fuck you guys. She's probably crazy too. Well, actually, she seemed a little nutty, but anyway.
Was she nutty before she got there, though?
That's the thing. Yeah. Oh my God. And it's almost like a commentary on our own, like prison system. But anyways, we don't need to get into
Yeah.
that.
You don't want to get into prison politics?
I mean, I could talk about euthanasia all day.
Yeah, like the whole thing about the highborn or the higher class society, like gawking on the people who happen to be in Bedlam, or it's kind of like other TV shows where it's like the highborn people are always mocked at, or mocking the lower caste, or even just with the jousting and stuff, or like the knights and like the. I know we bring it up because we bring it up every week, but we're gonna have to bring it up this week because one of the people on that show is now on this show. But with like Game of Thrones and like the fighting pits in Marine, like these people literally die in front of these other people, and yet they like cheer it on and all of this stuff. So it's like
well, I mean, really, like we're watching these shows, but I mean, they didn't have TV back then, so they're essentially doing the same thing as we are. They just got to watch it in real life, so which is way more awful, but also you don't have TV, so what are you gonna do?
Exactly.
Humans are kind of shitty.
Yep, pretty much.
We're the worst. Yeah, Sasuke and OTDA in the chat. OTDA says he hasn't seen the show. Well, David, if you haven't seen the show, go try it and watch it. You might enjoy it.
It's fun.
It's pretty good.
It's a show about horrors, and it's got people from Game of Thrones, so it's like a Littlefinger spinoff, minus Littlefinger.
It's like if
they should have cast him though somewhere.
That actually would have been excellent. I mean, we get a Theon supplement, a substitute, whatever the word is.
That's true.
Anything, and then kind of the last bit of that story arc with Quigley and Katrin is that basically Quigley goes to Golden Square thinking that Charles is still there, but Charles is far gone at this point. And basically she sees Lucy in her house, and some woman she doesn't know is also in his house, and she's just like, well, shit, I gotta fix this, and basically goes to her old friend from season 2, Mrs. May, and she's like, well, you can stay here for now, but we as the audience, we know that she's already in bed effectively with Lucy and the whole situation. So she's like double cross, or I don't know, backstabbing aside, sort of like with this, and it's just like one of those things where you're like, I see what you're doing there, and it's funny.
Well, I think the last person Mrs. May was expecting to see was Lydia Quigley show up on her porch. So like from where she was sitting, yeah, exactly. Like from where she was sitting, getting in this business investment. Yeah, it was like a little shady, but I don't think she was expecting Lydia Quigley to show up on her porch. So at the end of the day,
especially looking so disheveled. Like Lydia doesn't look like Lydia. And Mrs. May seems to be all about like the appearance. Like that's where Lydia learned how to conduct herself was from this gal that wasn't she like her father's mistress or something?
Yeah, and she was almost like
she was kind of like the only mother that she ever knew.
Yeah, because she even says in these episodes that she killed her mother on her, when she was born. So her mother died birthing her. Her father, from what I can kind of gather, it seems like her father raped her when she was young, or at least like exposed her to
That's what I was thinking too.
Yeah, like something happened where she's been exposed to this world from a very young age, and for some reason she doesn't really hate her father. It doesn't seem, because it seems like he taught her a lot in the process. But yeah, Mrs. May was kind of the closest to a mother figure, and it almost seems like Mrs. May was kind of like a Lydia Quigley herself when she was Lydia's age. So yeah, it's kind of a weird dynamic. And then with the Wells girls, you know, it's like a continuation of that. But
Right.
yeah. But Charles has he's lost all the money. He lost all the girls. He lost Golden Square. He's got the debtors after him, which they're going to show us more this season about the debtors because they don't play, dude. They'll come for your ass. So yeah, they've been like trying to hunt him down all this time. And he goes and tries to talk to Emily. Even I think I don't know if they just run into each other or he goes and seeks her out, but basically he tries to talk to Emily Lacey to see, they can kind of work things out and get back together. And she's like, man, you kicked me out on the street and like left me to rot, and I had to be a friggin' tavern wench, and now I've got a new man, so go kiss my ass, basically. And then Cherry, he leaves Cherry high and dry. Poor little Cherry.
Yeah, he's like, stop looking at me like a sad dog or whatever that he says. Yeah, like the whole Charles thing, like it's basically like when a person whose parent, or like if you have like a lot of money and you were raised with a lot of money and then all of a sudden the money gets taken away, like the poor rich kids, what are they gonna do? Like they just usually use up all of the money, not knowing that you have to make money to have money.
Right.
And it's just like a whole thing of like, the last thing I think we see of him is he goes up, I think, with the last bit of money that he has or was given, I think, by Fanny. Is like he's like, how long will this like amount of coins will give me to go to far away from London or whatever? It's like, Charles. It's like, it's one of those things. It's like, it's sad, but also at the same time, it's like, you put yourself in this mess.
Yeah, they were saying that he like gambled it all away or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, gambling's not a way to make money, dude. Don't do it.
Well, and it's not like he wasn't given like a sweet hand. Like he could have kept all the girls there. They already knew him. It was already an established house. Like he could have, if he played his hand right, he would have been just fine and been even better than when his mom was in the picture. But he fucked it all up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and started burning the chairs and all of that stuff. It's like, but yeah, like
poor little man child.
Yeah, poor Charles. But
they do have that weird thing also where Lydia, she keeps seeing him, but I think that he is coming over there. I think
he's actually there. He's actually there. It's just he vanishes so quickly that it makes her think she's going crazy.
Yeah, that's not helping anything. That whole scene where she's like, you know, it's like right after Lady Fitz comes, and then I think she sees
around the wall.
And then she's like, please don't let them make me mad. Like that's just like heartbreaking right there. She's like she's like screaming for her son. Like I don't know. That's just a harsh thing. Like I mean, I'm sure it's harsh. It's hard for Charles to see his mom that way and know that he's responsible for it. But then like to leave her there and hear her like screaming for you like that, just so helpless. And especially when you've already lost everything, like just help her, just help each other, you know?
Yeah, I'm surprised she lasted a year in bed. It's not like a thing where he's like 4 months later, he's like, I gotta get mommy out of the, you know, the bad place, kind of thing.
Well, and Charlotte had a good point though. Like at least she was still alive. Like they're ready just to kill Lydia and have it over with. But because of Charles, they left her alive. That's not the smartest move, but it's what Charles wanted.
Just like either this or this. Pick your poison.
I mean, like
he thought having her alive and having Golden Square was gonna work out well for him.
Did not. Like what's even? I mean, he probably wishes at this point that he would have just let her die. I don't know. Yeah, how could you leave town and just leave your mom like that when you're the only person that can get her out? That's pretty messed up.
Especially because he's the only one she really cares about. Now there's got some comments about Charles in the chat with Sasuke, who says his mother didn't teach him to keep the account, so he's clueless to the fact that money goes away. And then Otila Angel says that the girls didn't respect him enough to stay, and he wasn't prepared to take it all over. And also,
well, then he should have kept Emily around. Don't know why he kicked her out, but he needed someone who knew kind of how to run this shit.
Yeah, why would he wait a year to go and get her to come back, you know? He should have.
Yeah.
Pride.
I mean, he should have, yeah.
Male ego.
Maybe, yeah. Or and Harry was there too with him all the time. I don't know. The whole thing was stupid. He could have saved himself a few times. I mean, even like Harriet's house and stuff like that. I mean, if he would have offered for them to come to Golden Square and like worked out a deal with them, it could have even still gone better. And that ties into with Harriet. She mentions about Nell. So Nell was from season 2, and she basically, girls have been going missing. They're like, they go out, I think she said at night. And they never come back. So that's kind of
more of those bandits or whatever they call themselves, the Spartans. The Spartans.
Yeah. So they're trying to, and they get they need to get a new doorman. So that kind of comes into play later too.
And Cece, Miss Duncan Tall is in the chat. I think she wasn't chatting before because she was at work, but now she can chat with us.
Hey, Cece.
Sweet.
So, yeah, we get that. Yeah, that's kind of like the story with Quigley, and it's almost like a thing where it's like, where's this gonna go? Because you know that something's bound to shift in this storyline. Like, we've had now about 2.25 episodes of her like in this type of state, so it's like we gotta pick up the pace, especially because there's only 8 episodes every season, so pace. But I feel like Lydia somehow is gonna get out of it because she always does. And one question that I had was like, were you surprised that there was a year time jump, or instead of picking up kind of where we left off season 2, like, but not like a couple weeks later, like they made it a full year?
I think it was a good idea to do a time jump just because of sort of how season 2 left off with Margaret. And I mean, it seems like a long time for Lydia to be in the mental hospital, but I mean, also, I think if it was less time, she might have not been so affected by it, you know? So, and then the girls taking over their house, with Charlotte taking over Margaret's house and all of that. So I think that the time was needed to kind of get reestablished for everybody and then create a new storyline. So, I mean, it was a little surprising, but I think it works. I think it was necessary.
Yeah, I think so too. I don't know that I was really surprised. I mean, they didn't do it in the middle of the season, so we just kind of learned throughout the first episode that it's about a year later, and we're like, oh, all right.
It works.
It was a pretty natural feeling transition from season 2 to season 3, even with the time jump. So it was all right.
Yeah. Cece's asking, where's Fallon? He died. I'm sorry. He's dead.
And he's not Jon Snow dead. He's dead.
Yeah, there's no Melisandre to bring him back. Although we all wish that she would show up at some points for some people. Not for George Howard, and not for Lord Fallon either, but maybe somebody else we need a Melisandre for. Yeah, Fallon was killed in the season finale of season 2. So, which was last week.
He killed himself.
What's the word?
We learned it last time.
Oh, hell.
Seppuku or something like that. I can't remember. Seppuku.
Yeah, that's whatever
Yeah.
Johnny said last
Yeah,
season.
seppuku. Yeah, that's the Japanese
Forced suicide.
Exactly.
Which-
But it's honestly honorable. I can dig that.
Yeah.
Especially in a setting like that where you're doing it for honor to like retain your honor, and then like in a setting where you're not just committing suicide like by yourself because you're feeling sorry for yourself. I mean, I don't want to sound insensitive, okay? But but I'm just saying, like, you're not like in a dark room crying kind of thing. Like, you're doing it for your honor, to retain your honor. And that's like the Japanese mentality behind it, is to like retain your honor in death.
Yeah, because it was one of those things where he confessed to the attempted murder of Amelia Scanwell, and then the murder of the Lord Chief Justice from season 1.
Did he admit to Katie's murder?
No, that was another
Oh, okay.
Lord, if I remember correctly. It was.
Oh yeah,
I thought he saw take the fall for it or something.
It was
No, I think they even actually I think Liddington was even present for his for when Fallon killed himself. So that's actually
he was.
I don't remember if he comes back this season or not. But we'll find out.
We'll find out.
I wouldn't be mad if he didn't come back.
Yeah, we need him to die.
We have 2 new people to show up for that, and might as well talk about them right about now. So we have we get back to Greek Street, and we see all of the characters that we know and love on Greek Street. So we have Charlotte, and you got Lucy, and you got Fanny, and all of the girls, as well as Nancy, but no Mr. North. We find out through the dialogue that Mr. North, and we presume that Jacob is also somewhere off in the countryside, doing whatever they are doing, which in episode 2 we find out where they actually were doing, but we'll get to that in a second. And basically we get pretty quickly the introduction of Alfie Allen's character, also known in this show as Isaac Pincher. So, and that whole storyline. So, what did you feel about that whole storyline that would happen? Playing put Alfie Allen up to his old tricks that we all know him by, like season 1/season 2.
Reek, damn you, Reek. So they show up. So it's a gang of dudes, and they show up at Charlotte's house now. Greek Street. And Nancy's the doorman right now. So they want to just see some ladies. I think they say there's 6 of them, and they're like, I don't know, they're sailors or something. They're in town for whatever, for business or something. So they want to see the girls. So they come in. They're like in the parlor area. All the girls are kind of entertaining them. Charlotte has been out doing something. So she comes back. She finds all of them.
She was with Lady Isabella because she was meeting with a bunch of the high ladies, and they were talking about like supporting the people that Charlotte takes care of.
Which, anyways, that is logical, and that'll kind of come into play a little more later in the season. But she comes home, all the girls are entertaining the boys, in the parlor, kind of having a party and having a drink, and Charlotte comes in, and Isaac is just kind of sitting there. He's not really being entertained by any of the girls, but it seems like he was waiting for her because he knows who she is when she comes in, and he's like, oh, is this the famous Charlotte Wells? He wants to see her, he wants to talk to her, and he's poetic. He's the way he speaks is very poetic. All of his words are like in rhymes, and he's sweet talking Charlotte hard. So Charlotte gets into it. Of all the light girls and Jezebels, none holds a torch to Charlotte Wells. How can you say no?
It was like rhyming.
Yeah, he was smooth.
Sucker. No, I'm not. Trust me. Anyway.
Man. But yeah, I don't like. It's weird because, at least for me, because I think I've only seen him that like Alfie Allen act, if I can remember, in Game of Thrones. So it's like the weirdest mind trip because you're acting like your character from like way in the very beginning, but like you're gonna keep acting like that pretty much the entire time. So that's a little bit funny to watch him like be like that. And we all knew that the character was, or that he was going to be on this show because Johnny used Alfie's picture as one of his many faces that Johnny uses for when we covered Harlots. So it was funny to see him. It makes me wonder when he filmed that, because when the last season came out was not last year, the year before last year. I wonder when this season came out?
I
think quick research.
2019, I think, or late 2018, maybe. I feel like that's when I saw an article. That's when it got renewed. Was late 2018 for season 3.
So it's episode 2 was July 17th, 2019. So July. So I guess when they were on the hiatus, I don't know. It's like, because if he's a mainstay character for this season, it must have been during the off season, and like, because maybe
He's Alfie Allen kind of has he's in the John Wick, or well, he's in the first John Wick movie.
Yes.
And in that movie he also has kind of Theon season 2 Theon attitude kind of thing going on. So I think that really Alfie Allen is good at playing sort of that kind of character where he's he's a rich, in John Wick, he's like a spoiled rich kid. In Game of Thrones, he's, son of a lord. So he's always, I'm Lord, Greyjoy or whatever.
He finds some reason to be better than everyone else.
Yeah, he's good at that, playing that character. But he's also good at being humbled too. So he's, I like Alfie Allen a lot. I'm sorry. After season 8, he really grew on me a lot. I just, I like Alfie
Allen.
Yeah. He's good.
Yeah, like with the whole thing with his character too, like this is going into like Game of Thrones talk for a second, but he was cast to play Theon because of how he was going to portray Reek. That's basically how they chose the final person to play Theon, is basically who can portray Reek the best. Like that whole storyline.
I think
that makes sense.
Probably, because that would be the hardest part of that character, he goes through some rough stuff.
Well, wasn't he Reek and recovering Reek longer than he was Theon?
Yeah, because he becomes Reek, I think, mid-season 3, I think. Like, it's because he gets captured by Ramsay in, like, mid-season 3.
Because at the end of season 2, he gets betrayed by the Ironborn. And Maester Lewin dies and all of that. So I think that's when old Ramsay gets his...
Yeah, because it's the justice. Because it's the justice for Bran and Rickon is what bolted. It's like the whole thing with the Boltons. They're like, oh, bring my son, will bring him to... Anyway.
Yeah.
But yes, it was because he was playing Reek longer than he was obviously going to play Theon. So, yeah, it's one of those. And
hey, Chrissy. Chrissy just showed up.
Hey, Chrissy Woldstones. If you haven't, go listen to Chrissy read some chapters from the Game of Thrones books. They're really good. Like, if you want to listen to them, she just really will. But,
nice.
Yeah, like the whole, and then obviously she gets her Theon Isaac gets his way with Charlotte, and then basically it comes to that this was a whole setup, and that him and his brother want to basically own a piece of every single house like this one in London, basically. And you're just like, well, darn it. And then obviously they submit to the new rules, which sucks. But also at the same time, what are you going to do? Like, you can't really, like, not do anything. And you're just like, darn it.
Pretty, like, slimy move, too, the way he pulls
it really was.
Yeah, like, he convinced Charlotte that, you know, he was sincere with his poems and his sweet talk and all that. And then they hook up, and I think he even asks her, like, why did you hook up with me? You're a bod now. And she's like, some sport for my restless soul, which I love. But she kind of, it's almost like they have this sort of intimate moment where she kind of opens herself up a little bit to him, which we don't see a lot from Charlotte, especially with men.
Right.
Not really since Daniel Marnie has she had a moment like that. The only guy that she really trusts is her pa. So, but he's not there right now to protect the house. So he's off doing his own, hustling boxers or whatever. And and so Nancy's there running the house. And I mean, yeah, she's got her little, her switch, but I mean, there's only so much she can do. She's a pretty small woman. So all those guys, basically what happens is he says after they're done having sex, he's like, so here's my plan. I'm gonna, we opened up over here at this tavern. That's where we're operating out of. And all you girls are gonna basically pay like 25% of the house earnings to them for them to be pimps. They're strong arming pimps. So Charlotte goes downstairs and she's like, these motherfuckers are lying. And, she's like, tries to kick them out, but the guys like rough up the girls and are threatening them. And, basically Isaac is like, we can do this the easy way or the hard way. So you need to, do this the easy way. Otherwise we're going to mess your girls up kind of thing. And so they agree to it. But if we know anything about the Wells girls, they're not going down without a fight. So, they start figuring out what they're going to do like immediately and go over to the tavern they're operating out of and just start like, talking shit to them and telling them to kiss their asses basically. And did she bring Mr. Armitage when she very first goes over there? Or that's
no, it's with after the fire.
Yeah. So they go. I don't remember what happens the first time.
Because basically because part of when Charlotte's going through the town, she finds Lucy, and like Lucy's like, whoever wants to win this kart race gets to have me or whatever, and then she like runs into Lucy. And then it's just like they have a quick conversation, and then like she continues on back to Greek Street. And then that's when, and then basically Lucy's like, oh, like, I'll like better run, like all of this stuff. And then she goes and meets with Emily Lacey, and that's when we have the conversation of where Emily Lacey has been since the last episode.
And Emily Lacey's basically hooked up with Isaac's brother, Hal Pincher, and Hal is kind of, he's supposed to be the brawn, but he's kind of the brains, whereas Isaac thinks he's the brains, but he's kind of more the brawn. I don't know. It's kind of a weird dynamic they have with each other. And
go ahead, Kaci.
Oh, go ahead, Kaci.
I was just thinking that he's kind of like Theon, he's feeling up a girl and then finds out that she's his sister. Like, it's just, he's not very smart.
No, he thinks he's smarter than he is, but he proves time and time again he's not so smart, and he's more controlled over his, by his emotions. So like the girls come around and they like ruffle his feathers and tick him off. I don't remember exactly what they do, but they really piss him off. And then his brother's like, you need to nip this in the bud and handle this. And his way of doing that is setting their house on fire. So he goes out, he sneaks past and goes by their house and breaks the window out, throws a whatever in there, a torch or what have you. But and the girls are all out because they don't want to operate at the house, because basically the Pincher boys have set their guys up out front, so they're like they're guards or whatever. But it's more of a way of just kind of like keeping the girls in check. And so the girls decide, well, fuck this, we're leaving. So they go out to like do their stuff about town. But Nancy and baby Kitty are at the house, and when Isaac comes by and lights the house on fire, so that's pretty scary, because they're upstairs and they're kind of trapped up there. And then the girls decide to all come home, the crowd of girls, and Charlotte sees Isaac kind of creeping around in the shadows, but only like a block away from their house. So she's like, she goes and talks to him. She's like, you could have had all this freely, like, what's your problem? Why do you got to be like stirring the pot? Why do you got to be an asshole? Like, let's be friendly. Let's get along, tit for tat. And Isaac is like, fuck. You can tell he's like, shit, I should have just put your house on fire 2 minutes ago. Fuck. So he's like, go home. He's like, fly away home. You need to go home. Just go home. And so he leaves, she goes home, they find the house on fire, they get Kitty and Nancy out, thankfully, but the house is pretty messed up. Charlotte knows it's him, but, and then also, like, the next, well, anyways, I'm sorry, I'm like, just talking in your guys' ears off today. But, the next morning, they're all just kind of, that's the end of episode 1, basically.
Yes, the house is, like, on fire, and they're starting to put it out, but it goes into it doesn't matter. Wait, go ahead.
I'm just talking it up tonight. So I just drank some coffee like right before we started. So if you guys can't tell. Anyways, but so the house, the burn the house. I mean, it's not burnt down, but it's pretty messed up. A section of the house is kind of okay, but they're trying to sort of get it cleaned up. The parlor area is messed up, the bedrooms and that, and then like their clothes and all of that. And the episode starts and
they're cleaning.
Lucy's there, Charlotte's there, and they're just kind of like crying about the whole situation, because you could tell they wish their mom was there. Like, this is their mom's house. It's kind of the last they have left of her, and those assholes just burn their friggin' house down. So
yeah.
It's kind of the baby.
Yeah,
like, maybe in the not saying Nancy's old or anything, but like an older woman, like kind of.
She's like the cool aunt.
Yeah.
They tried to kill the cool aunt who was just like babysitting so the girls can all go out and get a drink.
Yeah,
it's like, come on, man,
not cool, low blow.
Especially too when like Nancy is there, but like is just like their bully outside, like like. But yeah, and then we get Mr. Northbeck. He shows up pretty quickly in the second episode, with Jacob. The actor who plays Jacob grew up a little bit since the last season, and because she like throws her dress, I think out one of her dresses out the window, and North is like, what? And then she like pokes her head out the window and she's like, Pa, and it's like the saddest, like, such a teenage or like older daughter, like trying to like hang on to what like some semblance of a parental figure, and it just happens to be Mr. North. And like he like leaves Jacob outside and he's just like, I gotta go take care of my girls, kind of thing. And it's just like so sweet. Like,
and he feels bad too. You can tell he's like, "Fuck, what did I let happen?" And this only happened like the night before. It's lucky that he came home that next day, but he's like, "All right, who did this?" kind of thing. And so they go over to the tavern and I think they run into Mr. Armitage on the way is what happens.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, do you guys have proof that it was this guy? And Charlotte's like, well, I saw him, right there. But he's like, well, you have to have more proof than that. Right. So they kind of go over to the tavern and Mr. North roughs him up and you get like, he's like, who are you? And she's like, that's Papa. And it's like, what? Like, what? But, so yeah, but thankfully he's back. He's there to handle things and, be the muscle, but they can't do anything right then and there, which is unfortunate because there's no proof. So,
right.
But the other part is in that fire, all their money's gone. Charlotte had like savings and that kind of thing sewn into the curtains for safekeeping, but they got cleaned out.
Not a bad idea.
No, yeah, but until your house goes up in flames, then you're really screwed. So they're pretty pissed about that, and that's kind of what they're after from the Pincher Boys. She's like, I want my money back. I need to rebuild my house, and you guys just like ruined my life. So give me some money, and they don't want to. So who do they set to find the money?
I'm sorry,
Mr. Armitage crush is back.
Okay, talking about how Mr. Armitage is not as good with the shirt on as with the shirt off.
Some people love Mr. Armitage with his shirt off. Ain't that the truth?
Yeah.
I just think he's a sweetheart. He's always so nice to Fanny, and I'm like 99% sure that Kitty's his.
Oh yeah, totally. And that's
what's a sweetie.
Fanny says. I mean, I was kind of expecting a little more gusto from Mr. Armitage when Fanny said like Kitty could have died in there. Like Kitty was in the house when they lit it on fire. I'm sorry. Despite the law, I think that any man or father would fuck somebody up. But I think he did get a chance. He gets to arrest Isaac, doesn't he?
No, it's like watching him or something like that. It's like they're keeping watch.
No, they do arrest him and his brother for running a baughty house.
Yes, because
just for like a minute though.
Yeah. And it's just a way to kind of disrupt.
There's like a girl stripping on the bar or something.
I think that's when why he decides to burn the house down. I think that was what the catalyst for that, because that was enough to piss him off. He's like, "What? You're gonna freaking get me arrested? You're gonna get the law involved?" And she's like, "Yeah, okay. The law comes to my house, like,
right?
Yeah, they're not here for you, bro.
Come to my house more times than you think it would." Yeah.
Yeah, Mr. Armitage. That was a good one to bag right there, Fanny.
Good job, Fanny.
Yeah.
Fanny holding it down. Best girl in the house.
Well, that's what Margaret says, that she was her best girl. So, Chrissy Boldstone says that we all need a paw in our lives. Yes. Everybody needs a Mr. North.
We do.
Whether it is your dad or like an uncle or something, or your like you gotta have a Mr. North in your life. And when he shows up and he basically feels bad, like Erin said, that he's missed this like short time with them, and like that he's like feels like he needs to be there for them, which is kind of why he goes to Isaac and like almost like puts him in a chokehold at the tavern and such. And he's basically like, all right, this is the things that we have to do, and one of the things that you have to do is don't go after Isaac and his brother, and I'll make up the money and then we'll give you the money. But that's not gonna fly with Charlotte. She's like not gonna be a sitting duck.
She's great in that scene too. She's like, well, Pa told us not to do this, and Pa told us to stay home, and Pa told us don't do this. So who's with me? And they just they drink their gin and they're out of there. So they go and they have Cherry. She knows where the money is, and she does her little coin clinking. She's with her cute little poems. She says too. Everybody's a poet around here. So she tells them where the money is. So they kind of create this whole thing, which actually we probably need to talk about Lucy a little bit before we get to that.
the rouse
Yeah.
that is. Oh my gosh, Sasuke is on fire in the chat today with like that Mr. North is everybody's favorite DILF. And that if Mr. Armitage is Katie's father, then now he's also a DILF too. It's like,
Oh my god, put that on derriere debates. Mr. North versus Mr. Armitage.
Oh man.
John is obviously going to pick Mr. Armitage to like be his to advocate.
You know, my best friend, she is like, she thinks Mr. North is just the bee's knees. I don't know what it is, but she thinks he is a fine looking man. So
He is.
I mean, he's pretty good. I like his style, actually. I love his like
Yeah,
clothing. And all. Like if he dressed like that all the time, I'd be like, yeah. But I mean, it's 2020, so he probably doesn't. So I'm probably like,
that's fair. No, I like his little like one-liners that he has, like when he tells Isaac Pincher, "I only fight men my own size."
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh damn.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah.
Yes, Burn, you're a little boy.
Mm-hmm.
Pat.
But
yeah, you don't have to worry about Mr. North. Like he can handle himself.
Mm-hmm.
and we all know that Cece still has eyes for Fallon. Aw, Cece.
We'll put him on the dead derrieres.
She's gonna be in mourning for a while.
Yeah.
Fallon versus what's his name?
George Howard.
George Howard.
Fallon wins, so I don't even think that's.
Oh, it's like the Battle of the Wells Keepers. Like,
There you go. I can dig it.
but yeah, basically with Lucy's kind of storyline up until this point is that she's, basically making men chase through the streets to be with her, to be there, to have the call at night and all of this stuff. And Emily Lacey's like, "Look at you! Where did you come from? A chandelier?" Like because of how pretty and well dressed that she has been. Well, she had a lot of money that she probably got from after like during her time with Fallon, and then probably after her time with Fallon, probably was something in the with money. And yeah, there's like she comes back to Greek Street and it's like thinks she can start her own house. And then it's like, "You'd be a fine bod." And basically she finds out through the grapevine, aka Charles, that Golden Square is going up for sale. So she goes and wants to buy Golden Square, but lo and behold, all the men want Golden Square except for one other woman who wants Golden Square, and they team up on. She doesn't know exactly what is gonna go on, but take a risk is what they say in that. And boy, is that a risk when she finds out what it actually is, and it's what is that? Molly House.
Yep.
And
what they say? They said that was like a hanging crime or something.
Hanging, and then it was like,
hanging offense, so they charge double. But Lucy's into that because she does not want to be a harlot anymore. She wants to retire and live fat. And that's kind of where her goal was. She wants to be the bod at Golden Square. But the people that she gets involved with, I can't remember what that lady's name. I think it's Elizabeth Harvey.
Something.
I think so. Something like that.
Yeah, Elizabeth Harvey. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's her front because that's not even her real name. She kind of fled her last town because her trade is in the mole business. So, so yeah, she kind of was on the run. She changed her name, and now she's in a new town. And she thinks she's got a better idea of how to run things. They weren't quiet enough, at the last house. So now she knows, what the risks are and that kind of thing. And it's her and her son, who is a pretty little guy. And so their plan is to have like a, what's the word I'm thinking of?
Taylor and,
Yeah.
A Taylor in the front, Molly House in the back. So they undress in one room, or they dress you in one room and undress you in another. Yeah. And we all know that Golden Square is a huge house. So
different levels, all the fun stuff.
So it's easy to kind of hide that sort of stuff. So they, and then she also has one thing about Elizabeth Harvey is we meet another character that she's involved with, which is like Salador or something like that. No, that's Game of Thrones. Is his name Salador in this also?
Like, I don't know. It's something. It's like close to that. Hold on.
Yeah.
Let me look at my.
It's Salador San. Let's just. That's
basically the Salador Fandom.
Yeah, we know. But yeah, he's a silk trader. And she kind of had it's implied that they had a romantic relationship, but he wanted to marry her and she kind of left him hanging. And so he was kind of butthurt, but then she kind of sweet talks him and she's like, I need some silks and all this kind of stuff. I'm starting this new house. Come on, let's work things out. Come on, help me out. I'll help you out, kind of thing. And he's obviously like smitten with her. I mean, she's a beautiful woman, but she's obviously high maintenance. Yeah. So, so that's kind of the plan. So they make a deal, they get the fabrics and that kind of thing. And so they're getting their house started and they want to kind of display that. Lucy is a well enough known person around town that she decides to be their model, I guess you might say. So they dress her up in men's clothes and parade her about the town, which is pretty humorous.
Yeah. And they basically make that the ruse into getting into the Pincher Tavern, or whatever you want to call it, the tavern where the Pinchers are, is that she gets to be the big distraction tactic. Well, there's a few distraction tactics, but the biggest one that will entertain the most people is Lucy, and that she's going to wear a certain outfit, and they have to the people around basically will buy the pieces of the outfit to entice them.
Stripping in the streets.
It wouldn't be this show without at least some stripping in the streets of some sort. Exactly. But while that's going on, we get Charlotte hooking up with Isaac again, as well as I think it's Harriet that goes after another one of the men that's in that tavern. While Nancy sneaks through this and gets the money. I feel like that was a well thought out plan. Like, they've had well thought out plans, especially like with in season 2 with the finale. But I think this one's like this sort of roosting and heist was pretty well done and well executed too, because it was not like even until like the last second where they're like, when they walk in the door, they're like, like, wouldn't you like figure out that this is like bad when people are sneaking behind you, like people that are actively sneaking behind you, and like one person being a massive distraction? Like, you'd think that something would click in your head, but I don't know. What did you think? Like, were they being oblivious for a reason, or is it like a thing of like they just didn't care?
I think that they played it well enough. They used their strengths, which the Harlots have their strengths. So, Charlotte, she knew she could seduce Isaac. She just had to. I mean, Charlotte can do anything to any man that she wants to. She just has to say the right word. She knows how to play a man, hands down, like nobody's business.
She got what's his name? Lord Fallon's like assistant, whatever frick his name was. I can't remember now.
Back in Haxby, are you talking about? Yeah.
Like literally like 30 seconds, and it's like, it's over. Okay, I submit to your whim or whatever. So she could probably talk a wall, and they'd be like, okay.
She knows how to work it. So she got Isaac and seduced him, and she gave him a real good time. And then and Emily happened to have whatever happened. Emily's keeper guy that she's been trolloping with had a duel with some lord and accidentally killed him. So they had a dead guy in the living room. She's like, oh, let me get Hal. Hal can handle this. So she brings Hal and a few dudes from the tavern. So that's perfect timing for Cherry, because Cherry's like watching for their moment. And basically Cherry was like, okay, we're good. Let's do this. So it was all like simultaneous. Yeah. Like Cherry was keeping an eye on the tavern. They were out of there. It was just enough time. Nancy knew exactly where to go to rifle through and find that cash. And the other part of that too was Lucy was doing the thing with the Molly house. You know, she was distracting for the girls to get their stuff done, but also Elizabeth and her son were using that. Another part of the rouse was they were using that as an opportunity to kind of like get their eyes out there and seduce men. Like they were kind of watching to see which men were potentially gay, basically. And they, you know, they found a couple of guys and they're like, okay, let's, you know, watch them, get them to come back to the house kind of thing. One of the guys was like the big spender on Lucy's outfit too. So that was like a good indicator. So yeah, that was another part of it. There was just a lot going on and it was a high pressure situation. You're watching it, you're like, oh my God, like somebody's going to figure something out. I thought it was going to be Charlotte, you know, and Isaac. I just thought like they were going to figure it out because they were like in the house together. Yeah. Nancy was down, I think, in the cellar or what have you. So yeah, it was a pretty intense scene, but it worked out well. And they got their money and they got out of there and they got what they came to do. And then, yeah, when the boys finally figured it out, they were like, fuck, you know?
Yeah.
Happy. They got played by the girls again.
I think this plan worked out better than any of the other plans from like seasons 1 and 2 because Margaret wasn't involved. Margaret's just so hot-headed and she tries to go into everything just by herself. Margaret doesn't do teamwork. Whereas these girls just like Ocean 11'd it.
And it worked for them. Yeah. It's like, you know, everybody had their own little job to do and that, you know, it ended up well. It ended up working for them.
Yeah.
They didn't deal with it either a dead body or causing somebody to die. So there you go. Because like,
I mean, this plan versus like the dead girl on Quigley's doorstep thing, like
Mary
one worked
Cooper.
a lot better than the other. Yes, Mary Cooper. Thank you. I couldn't for the life of me remember her name.
She was also in Game of Thrones as the girl that Theon took in the boat where she was like, I want to be your salt wife.
Yeah.
Oh my God, she was. I didn't even recognize her from that.
It bothered me. I think Mackenzie was the one that finally pointed it out for me because I was like, who is this? I knew it was somebody the whole time. And then
I think Johnny who mentioned it, but yeah, it was like she was the one from the I want to be your soul wife thing was Theon. So
the really annoying one.
She was super annoying. She's even more annoying in the book.
Yeah, I was like, shut up. Yeah.
I know. Every time I'm like listening to that audiobook or reading it, I'm just like, oh God, she is the worst. Poor girl. Anyways. Sasuke, try closing your mouth, girl. Indeed.
Yeah, like it is so kind of funny that like a bunch of like not alum, well, it's kind of like alumni from like different shows like cross over to different shows. And you're just like, hey, hold on a second. Yeah.
It's funny.
Yeah, also Steve York in the chat was like, Charlotte the Harlot, ha ha ha.
It's true. They put a lot of thought into that one. Lucy the Harlot too is actually kind of that's a loose butthole. Anyways. That is pretty funny, actually.
And then the Sasuke tinfoil theory. She had Theon's baby.
It was pox ridden.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah,
She gave it to Lydia Quigley.
Here you go. Like that kind of thing. That was funny. Oh man, but yeah, there was Lucy, she's trying to make a name for herself, and I mean, can't knock the girl for, wanting to be better, and yeah, she's become one of the most famous women in London, pretty much, and it's one of those things. It's like, hey, gotta make do while I can, and I think they've like stepped up for Lucy, at least, like her clothing, because like in season 2, yeah, she had nice clothes, she was in bed literally and figuratively with Lord Fallon on most things, so but she's like gotten better clothes, I think, this season. Either they changed the costume designer, or something happened, because or Fallon left her a bunch of money to buy all these new clothes, so it's one of those things where like,
They actually, yeah, I noticed a change in the costumes this season too. Like Charlotte's dress when they're at Lady Fitz's house, and it's got like this crisscross button thing going on. It's like velvety, and it's that kind of turquoisey blue. Oh, to die for. I love it. But which that scene also is that kind of. So yeah, after the girls get their money back, they basically go straight to Lady Fitz's house, and they're like, all right. And they try to pull the same thing that the guys try to do to them, which is like, they said that they had all these alibis from these like crappy people in their tavern or whatever. So Charlotte does the same thing. She's like, oh, well, I've been here all night with this fine lady playing cards, and her, her,
dropping like servant or whatever.
Like, we don't need to say what we were doing, and then Lady Fitz stands up and she's like, and I don't even know how you guys got into my house, really. And she's like, which isn't the case, but they're basically just like, listen, quit messing around. We'll give you your money back. Here, have your money, have your bag of money, but
We want our
off. Yeah, like, leave us alone. Let us operate in peace. The end.
Yeah, they took their compensation for everything with the house.
It's like, we get our money back, and she's like, leave. Yeah, Charlotte's like, leave me alone, leave my girl alone, leave my family alone, and leave my house alone. Pretty much is. I mean, yeah, like, but that doesn't last for too long, because it's like one of those situations where it just pops out behind the carriage and is like, hey, and that's not like, because that's kind of how that story arc ends. It's like, it's just like, hey, and it's like, oh Jesus, like, don't make the same mistake again, god dang it. But yeah, it's like, that was a well thought out plan though, because they had Mr. North there. Mr. North was like, you better listen to her, kind of thing. Like, they have like the muscle back again. Yeah, Mr. North also too, this episode was like on his own adventure. He was trying to get this one guy to like his boxer to try and get a new fight, which will be quite interesting to see moving forward, the fighting that goes on. Because they kind of amped it up a little bit in season 2, like near the end. So, it can't always just be like the ladies getting half naked. Sometimes you're gonna have some fighting in there too, to appeal to a wider demographic than just the demographic they were pooling for this TV show.
He's trying to basically start a new, like, it sounds like that was what he was out doing while he was gone, was sort of like trying to find a good fighter, since the one kid from last season is apparently gone. But so yeah, he's got a new kid, but he's also like a well-spoken, educated young man, and he has a big crush on Harriet, like from the gate. He's like into Harriet, so they hire him to be their new their bully at Harriet's house, basically, which she's kind of still going for that exotic thing, but she's got a few girls now. And then when the house fire happens, she takes in Fanny and the baby, and I think a couple of Charlotte's girls just to stay there until they get the house fixed. So
she's keep working and everything.
She's doing pretty well for herself.
Even though she is the most hated character on this show by Johnny. She's just like, nope.
Oh, she gets more hate than she deserves, I think.
Yeah, I think so too.
I mean, like, she's not, like, obviously, like, she's a well-written character, but she's written in a way where sometimes you're like, oh, really? But like that was like a really nice gesture that she was like the girls stay at her house and everything, and even what did she say to Kitty? Fanny, she's like, she's gonna be fine, right? Like, you don't have to keep holding her. Like, here. Like, she's fine. She probably most likely recovered from the brief time that she was in the smoke.
Mm-hmm. That's why I can appreciate Harriet, because you know what? She's gone through the tough time of having to be separated from your kid. Like, she's had that Band-Aid ripped off. So she knows her kids survived that. Her kids survived being like treated like slaves by their own brother. So she's like, your Kitty is fine. Everything's fine. You're fine here. Everyone's fine. Like, she's
Harriet's
definitely
good at just keeping a level head.
Yeah, she's the mom right now. She's got the mom vibe that since Margaret left. And it was cute, like when Jacob and Mr. North came back, but when Jacob saw her, he was like, Harriet, like ran up to her and gave her a hug. Even though they have all that drama, like Jacob loves her. So
plus, Margaret's not back in the show yet, so it's like, well,
all that Margaret drama.
Oh, Margaret.
Oh. But it's like it's good that like they obviously have that thing with that going on, and I feel like we have Margaret Wells has to come back at some point, so she'll probably come back like next episode or whatever, because it's been a year. So I don't think Justice Hunt explained like how long she had to be away. Was it like 7 years or something? I can't remember.
That was for the other girl, but actually with Margaret, I don't think he even gave her a sentence in America. I think he just put her on the boat and was like, figure it out. Like,
I thought her sentence was supposed to be indefinite because she was supposed to have been hung.
Well, I don't think that he could reassign her punishment. So I think he was just like, I'm going to send you away from England because to everyone in England, you need to be dead.
Yeah, he just snuck her out of the country, basically. It was like, start a new life. You're alive. It's the best I can do for you.
And that's why she was so like, she's like, you should have killed me. Like, I had nothing without my family. Like, what do you, I don't want to do this. I don't want to go to America. I don't care if I'm alive. If I don't have my family, then just kill me kind of thing. So it's kind of she gets, and it's dangerous, all of that traveling to America at that time. She's going to be on a boat. She's going to be treated like a prisoner. She's going to it's not going to be a good time for Margaret to go to America. I would not want to be her right there.
Yeah.
But we'll see what happens there.
It will be interesting to see what happens. And Emily obviously has her new keeper, which she gets, what is it, $25 or pounds, whatever they want to use. Which original bargain was 30. It's like, girl, come on. And then it went to 20, and then it went to 25. But she's learning the ways on how to make money, or what is it, to like have something and watch it grow. It's basically like was the analogy, but
she wants him to teach her how to do business, how to make money, how to take what she makes and make it grow. So
it's almost like oh, sorry. Go ahead.
He's a pretty smart guy that she gets with. Like, she was just, servicing him, I guess you would say, but he just was enamored with her. So he was like, come be my, come stay at my house and tra-la-la. And that was part of her deal. She's like, you can be my keeper, but you have to teach me how to do business because I'm tired of being a tavern wench and being at the, like being at the mercy of men all the time. Like Emily Lacey is constantly just always at the mercy of someone else. She never has control over her own stuff. So this is the first time. But even now she's like with Hal and kind of juggling that. And Hal's like sort of the not like Isaac's the one that's kind of running the show. And they're not even like I think they talk about it more in the next episodes. They're not real brothers. Their mothers were harlots. So they grew up in the same house together. And it's like, with what the girls have said in the past, like all brothel babies don't have fathers or something like that. So the boys grew up together. Maybe they have the same father, but probably not because one of them was black and one of them was white. So but they have the dynamics of brothers. They take care of each other. They, look out for each other and they live together. Like they do everything in their lives together. So, which is beneficial for Hal because he's like the black brother, unfortunately. I mean, that sounds awful, but in that time, like, it's kind of a nice thing to have somebody that cares about you on a level that is a brotherly level to kind of help you out in life and, get you through those doors because he probably wouldn't have as many opportunities.
Yeah.
Sounds awful.
I was going to throw down another Game of Thrones reference. Like they're the brothers of the Night's Watch, or what was it? That I don't know what got me laughing, but I think it was like the whole For the Watch thing. I was like the one time and I started laughing. Like really bad. I was like, oh Jesus. They're the band of brothers, which, makes, it's like if you're raised from a certain age, even if you aren't blood related, you view yourself as siblings. So it's like not that. Milk brothers.
But Hal kind of has this thing where he almost feels he's got a vibe where he's almost subservient to Isaac because Isaac kind of always has the upper hand in things. But again, like we said earlier, like Hal kind of has a bit more brains. Isaac is more emotionally fueled. He loses his temper a little more easily, and that kind of thing. So while Hal doesn't necessarily always have the upper hand, Emily Lacey's trying to convince him that like he should, like he's smart enough to, he's capable enough to, she's like, we can do this together. You don't need your brother. He's an ass. And he's really an ass to Emily. Like, I mean, she always catches him at the wrong time when he's like pissed about whatever. And she goes and slaps her chops and it's like, Emily, shut your mouth. Like, let the men talk for a minute, but so he's constantly just like, shut the fuck up, woman, but, yeah, she's like, we don't need your brother. You can do this on your own. And let's, I'm going to learn business. Like, I'm going to learn business from this guy while I'm dealing with him, for as long as I have to. I'm going to learn as much as I can. And then we can, make this happen for ourselves. So I like Emily. She's really getting, like, she's grown on me. She's getting savvy and she's ruthless. She's got to do what she's got to do in this world.
Yeah, she's grown on me more too with all this. Just because she's trying something that she hasn't tried before. I mean, she's tried just doing the harlot thing with going from Margaret to Lydia and then trying to start her own house. And her own house likely just kind of fell under because she didn't really know all the business ins and outs of it. She thought she could just lay around and and just make money not doing anything. So with this, she's kind of figuring out that she does still have to work. Even if she's not on her back doing it, she's still got to put in the work in order to make the money.
And I think this is what I just thought for a second. And I was like, well, this is the third shown keeper that we've had in the show. One was stabbed / choked to death. One stabbed himself after admitting that he needed that of all the crimes that he did. And then this one, I don't know, he must have stabbed somebody else. So it's like they keepers either like to be stabbed or do the stabbing almost of like.
I think he shot him, actually. They were having a duel.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Maybe those were the guns that Emily gets.
Probably.
That's actually...
He didn't want murder weapons in his house.
Yeah, he's like, let me just give these to the whore. Because, yeah, she showed up with 2 guns, like, all right, now it's time to make money, baby.
Or it's like the thing of like, let me just pawn off my murder weapons to my sugar baby, and then
Yeah,
we'll be
totally.
fine.
I mean, I guess they didn't have like forensics and stuff going on then, so murder weapons were probably easier to just pass them along.
Just hide
How
them
your
somewhere.
identity can change, like pretty much. It's like you just change your hair, and then it's like, oh, you're a whole new person.
Yeah, just throw a dead body in the pond out back, and nobody will know it's you, right, Margaret? Well,
disappear. But speaking of like people like disappearing, the last thing is like Lady Isabella, her daughter, from basically the last 2 episodes, is briefly on the show because she has like 2 scenes, one of which is she's having dinner by herself. And then the next thing and then she basically has a conversation with, can't remember, like basically with one of the people that works for Lady Isabel. And then the next episode, we find out that she escapes and then has gotten married to the boyfriend, like basically her
Footman or something.
Footman or something like that. So, it was like, my one question was, it's like, is Lady Isabella acting kind of like how Margaret Wells was acting like with Lucy, but with the daughter, like kind of like protective and like not wanting reputation. Like reputation is the gold standard, like all of this stuff, because she was marrying beneath her station, effectively.
Mm-hmm. That's kind of a good parallel, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But Lady Isabella, I think, has more I mean, I wouldn't say more reason than Margaret, because Margaret's probably got more reason to be protective over her daughter just because they're exposed to a way bigger variety of people, whereas Lady Fitz is going to be exposed to a more high class group of people. But I think a big part of it is just because she hasn't admitted who the father of Sophia is. Yeah. And that's the big secret. So I because Lady Fitz even goes and goes to the parlor or that lounge or whatever, and she tells them all, she's like, I have an illegitimate daughter, so the end. But like, she doesn't ever say who the father is, and she won't tell Sophia who he is. So I think that her nervousness stems more from that than her own dignity, really. I think she's more fearful of what an awful person her brother is. And even though Sophia knows at this point, what he's all about, I don't know. I mean, I could see why she doesn't want her to know, just because there's the risk involved. And I mean, how would that even make Sophia feel, to know that that's your father and that he's a monster and that you're a product of rape and incest, and not only that, he's also an awful enough person that he didn't only do this just to your mother, who was also his sister, but to many other girls, and has victimized just many other young innocent girls. It doesn't benefit her a lot to know that, but as a child, you're gonna want to know those things. Any human being wants to know those things. Yeah, it's a tough situation for Lady Fitz.
Well, and also Lady Fitz just barely got Sophia back in her life. She hadn't seen Sophia since she was a baby, and then she was away at boarding school for 16 years or something like that, and so she's had her for a year. They're still learning about each other and bonding and everything. And now Sophia's gone again.
Yeah. And it's just because it's one of those things where it's like, what do you do as a parent? Do you let them grow up even though like she has not had like much time with her, it's like grow up because she is of a certain age and all of this, and like it's even like Charlotte asks her like how she's like dealing with it, and like even Nancy's like, you know, you're dealing with this, but you also have to understand it's like a different time thing. It's like she's not so little anymore, and all of this. It's hard because it's like as a parent, especially if a teenager, to like let them fly away, but also you want to hold on to them and with the memory of like what she was before. I mean, she'll probably have a good life, like what Nancy said is like just because she married beneath her station will only hurt the fact that um she's just beneath her station. She said something which I'm trying to find, but it was basically something about like how
she's just like, she's young and she's rich and she's in love, so just let her do her thing for a little while. She'll come back, you know, and the less you try and smother her, the more, you know, she'll want to come home.
Well, Nancy was also talking about how reputation isn't really all it's cracked up to be.
Yeah.
Like Sophia losing having a high reputation really isn't going to do her any damage in the long run, and she'll just be able to be happier for it because she won't care so much about what all these other high society people think of her. I mean, they already don't think of her very highly, being Lady F's illegitimate daughter anyway, so she may as well just like put the final nail in the coffin and just be done with it.
I think Nancy says something like, I have no my reputation is crap, but I'm as free as the birds, you know. She's like, I'm happy as can be. So
she's like, I have no husband, no children, it's just me, and it's like no reputation. But the one thing that she says, which is poignant, is we are more than what people see. That's the big thing from that whole thing. So exactly. So it's like it's one of those things where it's like you just gotta accept it. She'll come around. Who knows? Maybe she comes back like in a thing later on.
And it's a different time too, where I mean, nowadays, like if your kid took off their cell phones, you can track their phone, you can you know do this, that, and the other. At that time, like, well, first of all, you're not going to get very far very fast because everything's like on foot or by horse, you know. But also, like, she's not going to know where she went unless, you know, she's got her servants out looking for her. But I mean, you just kind of have to sit back and wait and like hope for the best and, you know, do what you can, or well, just do what you can to distract yourself probably. But yeah. But the servant guy that she took off with, he was kind of like talking shit about Lady Fitz too. I mean, he was really like, your mom, you know, he's kind of like really driving home that her mom is so scandalous. She's, you know, hangs out with the whores and she's just, you know, really gets herself in scandalous situations. And that's kind of, he kind of preys on her a little bit. So
Bio Tila, no problem.
Bio Tila.
Yes, use the pineapples in the chat. Yeah, like the whole running away was like she wasn't also equipped to deal with the life that her mother comes from, and we all know her father. So it's one of those things where it's like, why might as well just go back to the life you sort of know. So I mean,
she was used to everything being simpler.
And it's also an easy way to write off this character, so in case she never comes back. But I think she'll be happy. Like it's not something where it's like. But the one thing that I was gonna say is like the one good thing about this time is you can run away and change your identity, but the bad thing is if you run away, it's very hard to track where you go. It's like a yin and yang of like it's good but it's bad also at the same time. But I think we like covered pretty much everything. I don't think we like really missed anything major. But yeah,
I don't think so.
No, I think
I
we
don't
could.
think we got it all.
So, for season 3, the first 2 episodes, what do you rate them, and what do you think about the overall kind of thing?
I'll give them 8, 7 or 8, like 7.5. Pincher pies. They were good episodes. You know, it was a lot of setup. There's a lot of new characters. You know, we lost a lot of old characters that we know. So it's kind of a new dynamic this season. But the costumes are great so far. I loved the stuff. I mean, like I said, I really love the stuff with Lydia. Like she's just grown on me. She's like a freaking amazing actress, and just her whole stuff at Bedlam.
Mm-hmm.
She just knocks my socks off with that acting. Like she's just fantastic. And, you know, she just really makes you feel for her. And I don't know, maybe not you, Kaci, but
I'm heartless. It's fine.
It's fine. You're Black Heart. So, but yeah, no, she does a great job. I mean, everybody does a great job. So it's an exciting setup. There's a lot going to be going on in the next few episodes. So, Yep. So yeah. Pinch your pies.
I think I would give the episode. Trying to come up with a good rating. 7. Oh, hell. I can't think of anything good. 7 pineapples. We'll just default to our pineapples. Not creative today. No, I'd give it a 7. I liked the setup that it had in it, but with the exception of Lydia's escape from Bedlam was pretty exciting. And then our girls' Ocean 11 style heist was pretty good. But there were a lot of build-up, but it was necessary build-up for the new upcoming plots. So, no, really, really good episodes. Not a bad way to start off a season.
Bedlam breakouts.
There we go. Okay, 7 Bedlam breakouts.
No, it was hilarious because I was thinking that exact thing too.
Dang it! I'm sorry, Mackenzie.
No, it's fine.
Now you gotta think on your toes.
I gotta think about it, but yeah, these 2 were very what's the word? Like they were like great setup for what we're going to be getting in these the remainder of this season. It was interesting to see Alfie Allen show back up on a TV show. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this character plays out throughout these next couple of episodes. Yeah, I think I want to say that it's a 7. Hold on. Yeah, what did I have was the backup option, and I just forgot it a second ago. It was dang it. Oh, it was like the pimped by the pinchers. I don't know.
Yeah.
So,
nice.
Pimpin' pinchers. We can come up with some good pincher ones. That's season 3 is the season of pincher piss talk. I don't fucking know.
It was 8.5 reappearances of Mr. Armitage, or 4 shirtless Armitages are worth 8.5 clothed Mr. Armitage.
We want the police force of 4 shirtless Armitages. Armitage die.
Yeah, it was 1764, 1765, so it's like, who knows? But yeah, that'll be fun. Yeah, it really.
Hey, Mandy here, just in time for the end.
Hi, Mandy.
Hi, Mandy. But yeah, thank you for coming by. But do you have anything that you got that you're working on? If you put out anything, I know Kaci, you put out a video recently? Like, what you got that you're working on?
I put out a video on Sabrina season 3, episode 1, and I should have episode 2 done by this weekend to have to watch also.
Awesome.
They're more plot explanation rather than religious explanation of the series, but
What? I want religious explanation. I hear there's a lot of really good pagan stuff and like goddess stuff going on. Lilith.
It's pretty fun, but I am no expert.
Oh, please. You're good. You're good.
Nah, thanks. But that's what I've got.
Erin?
I actually, this week, well, I mean, I've been kind of telling you guys for the last couple of weeks, I'm going to be working on some stuff for this new show and book that's out. It's called Cursed. It's by Thomas Wheeler and Frank Miller. You guys probably know Frank Miller from like 300 and Sin City and The Dark Knight and all of that. He's like really amazing illustrator. So Cursed is about the Lady of the Lake, Nimue, and they're doing a new Netflix show that's coming out in the spring. So that is, I'm going to be working on stuff to cover that. I've been like studying a lot of Arthurian legend for the past 6 months. So yeah, I'm going to apply that knowledge. But I did start a new channel. It's called The Fae Fire. I actually, let me find my link and I'll put it in the chat right now. But I don't have any stuff on there quite yet. But if you guys want to come and subscribe to it, I should hopefully be getting, I'm trying to work on a few episodes to get going before the show comes out. So I want to have some stuff. So I will post the link in there right now. And if you guys want to go subscribe, that would be awesome. I'll love you forever.
Like the book. It's like, love you forever. Love you forever. Forever. But yeah, we got some good content going on. For me, you will see me here. You'll see all of us here next week to talk episodes 3 and 4 of this show. After Harlots, spread the word. We're going to talk about Westworld, that crazy mind frack of a show, and all of that goes with it in preparation for season 3, which that'll be interesting to see how that plays out, as well as Johnny's twin, Erin Paul, is going to be in season 3 of Westworld. So come back for that too. Other than that, I don't have much going on. Cylon Johns is always usually every Friday. We should be going live for that. We're like almost halfway through the final season of Battlestar Galactica. So yeah, I'll be there probably on Friday. If not, you'll see me here. As well as Patreon for now, until for videos and stuff, until I get back into the swing of things of making videos. But speaking of Patreon, we have Catherine Harding, Dark Mother, Nancy T, Katrin C, and the podcast.com, that family of podcasts. Go check out Patreon if you want to get basically show notes, videos, book stuff, just a bunch of stuff is over on Patreon. But yeah, it's been watching this show has been a nice refresher from the hard shows that we've had to kind of watch and make sure we analyze correctly. But yeah, it's been really fun. So can't wait to get back to it with other shows. But before we go, I'll say goodbye to the people in the chat. So Steve York, go check out Geek Folk One on Facebook. It's a fun time over there. You'll thoroughly enjoy it if you haven't joined already. Mandolin523 Mandy was here. Also Sasuke, some lady named Braavosi Broadcast. Again, don't know who she is. Magically showing up here. As well as some person named House Lorebridge. Again, don't know who they are. They've been here as well as Sasa K, Chrissy Wilson was here. So many lovely OTDA. We may have convinced OTDA to start watching this TV show. Who knows? Click the buttons. There were random buttons here.
Oh, that was
OTLA.
a good comment though, because that was from Sasuke, and she said something about when we were talking about the costumes that the reason that everybody's dressed so well is because of Frito now, or Fredo.
Yeah, but
He's got
many
skills.
exactly.
And Solidor Sans silks. There's another one. 7 Solidor Sans silks.
Exactly. Salvador and so yeah, we got so many people in the chat joined us today. It's been really nice to talk to you guys about this show, and I can't wait for next week where we talk about some more probably craziness and crazy episodes that we got going on. So be sure to come back next week for the fun times that we have on this show talking about this craziness. And yeah, what? I either missed something or it's like, but anyway, the ship is sailing, Mandolin. Anyway,
The ship.
Also, hopefully, we may be able to do some ship streams later, because February, the month of love, so we might as well do a love
Valentine's ship stream.
Yeah. Valentine's Day ship stream. So look out for that. It'll pop up at one point, and check out Facebook. That's where I would usually update, or Twitter. They're all linked in the description, anyways. OTGA 9.5 lady tits. I mean, lady fits.
OTDA, you don't need to watch this show. You're already here with us. You got it.
Just watch us talk about it, and then you kind of understand basically what's going on. Anyway, you'll see you guys. Oh yeah, make sure to go send Johnny some love, and because he wasn't here today, but he may be back next week. So yeah, with that, we'll see you guys next week. Bye.
Bye, guys.